In this jeep, there is a North Korean soldier who is trying to cross the border by speeding the jeep because of Kim Jong-un's policies. He knows very well that either he will be killed or at least injured. So what is the compulsion that he is going to take such a big step? We will tell you about this later. But why is North Korea considered the biggest prison in the world? And why is it impossible to escape from here alive? Welcome to World Info Videos again. Kim Jong-un's departure from North Korea without permission is treachery in his eyes. The minimum punishment for this is life imprisonment and maximum death. Even within North Korea, it is considered a crime to go from one province to another without permission. Almost every organization believes that North Korea has the worst human rights record in the world. Here, all men must serve at least 10 years in the North Korean military. Nothing like free speech is present here, and whatever the media is, it is under the control of the state. This is the only country in the world where he is also punished if his relatives have committed a crime. In 2009, a 2-year-old boy was sentenced to life imprisonment here just because he did not have a Bible book with his parents. It is also very difficult for a foreigner to come here from the outside world. And even if a foreigner is allowed to come here, he is watched like a shadow throughout his trip. And he is only taken to places where he can only see what the government wants to show. Foreigners are also killed many times if they do anything in North Korea that is against local law, like what happened to Otto Vampire. He was a US citizen who visited North Korea in 2015. In 2016, he was arrested when he was accused of removing the propaganda poster of the government from his hotel room. For this accusation, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. But after a year, he went into a coma in the North Korean prison camp, and he was sent back to America. After a few days of his return to America, he passed away with the scars on his brain. No one knows what was done to him in North Korea. As a result of all this, it is believed that North Korea is a very big prison, where people live like slaves even when they are free. This is why North Korean people keep trying to escape from here. But doing this is not easy at all, and the biggest reason for this is the geography of North Korea. On the west of North Korea is the Yellow Sea, while on the east is the Sea of Japan, where the North Korean Navy is so heavily guarded that it is not even possible for any illegal boat to come close. In its south is South Korea, which is one of the biggest enemies of North Korea. This is why the security in the sea near it is very tight. Those who run away from North Korea have no better option than South Korea. Not because South Korea is a very developed and free country. Rather, the reason for this is that South Korea considers all North Koreans as its own citizens. That is, if someone escapes from the North Korean army and succeeds in crossing this line, then this step can change his life. But only when he is successful in reaching alive. Because North Korea has set up so many armies on its border that not just humans, but even a bird will think 100 times before crossing the border. This video is from 2017 when a North Korean soldier was taking his jeep to South Korea. When the border guard found out, he chased him and opened fire on him. He left his jeep and ran towards the border, but the North Korean soldiers fired at him. Fortunately, he entered South Korea, but after taking several bullets on his body. After that, the South Korean soldiers came in the evening and dragged him into their protection. Many such attempts have also been made by North Korean civilians, most of whom were killed on the spot. But those who succeeded in coming to South Korea could not stay alive for a long time due to bullet wounds. Running directly from North Korea to South Korea is like inviting your own death. Because on this border, North Korea has deployed about 750,000 soldiers. In addition to this, barbed wires, fences, and landmines have also been set up near the border. The second and historical way to enter South Korea is to run from the northern border here. In the north of North Korea, the largest border is China and a small part is Russia. This method is comparatively easy but not less difficult because North Korea is not afraid of attacks from China and Russia. Their military deployment on these borders is also less. But this entire 100-300 kilometer border is full of dangerous mountains and forests. In addition to this, the border between China and North Korea mostly runs along the Tumen and Yalu rivers. That is, even if a defector reaches the China border, he will have to face the challenge of crossing the river. For this, defectors and smugglers would wait for the winters when both rivers would freeze, and they would simply walk over it and cross the border. Similarly, This method also worked in harsh summers, when the level of the river was very low. When China or Russia arrived, there was no danger for the defectors yet, because North Korea had a military alliance with China and Russia, which means that if they caught a North Korean defector from their land, they would hand him over directly to North Korea. And then the North Korea that attacked them, it is not difficult to guess. Therefore, when China and Russia arrived, their work was not over. Instead, they had to run away from here and go to another safe country. In the south of China, there are Myanmar and Laos, but these two countries also caught North Korean defectors from their territory and sent them back to North Korea. Therefore, now the option was Thailand, Vietnam, and Mongolia, whose direct border is with China. In a way, these were considered safe countries for the defectors because, as you know, South Korea considers all North Koreans as its own citizens. Therefore, these three countries did not send the North Korean defectors back to North Korea, but sent them to South Korea. So the defectors' plan was to first enter China or Russia, then enter Thailand, Vietnam, or Mongolia, and then reach there and voluntarily surrender themselves to the authorities. And from there, they were sent to South Korea by ship, where they were able to start their new life. Since 1990, a total of 34,000 North Koreans have managed to escape and reach South Korea. Actually, at that time, North Korea was supported by the Soviet Union. But in 1991, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, North Korea's support ended. And the United States also started imposing a lot of sanctions on it. At this point, North Korea's situation got so bad that the people here started craving for food. According to estimates, 3.5 million people died here due to lack of basic necessities. That's when a lot of people decided to flee from here after 1991. Every year, the number of people fleeing from North Korea kept increasing. Even after the end of the famine, the number of defectors kept increasing. And in 2009, record defectors were noticed, which had reached 3,000. In 2010 and 2011, the number of defectors remained high. But then in 2012, something happened that suddenly reduced the number of defectors by 50%. The man who had ruled North Korea since 1994 died, and now it was the turn of his son Kim Jong-un to take over. As soon as he came to power, Kim Jong-un first smuggled and harassed those fleeing the country. Signal jammers were installed all over the northern borders, and intelligence monitoring was also increased. Fences were set up on the border and military patrolling was also increased. In addition, Kim Jong-un also decided to be more strict with Russia and China. As a result, China also installed surveillance systems all over the border. Because of these changes, it was now very difficult for North Korean defectors to enter China. And now the brokers, who used to take money in exchange for helping these defectors flee from North Korea, they also increased their rates to a considerable extent. In 2007, the Chinese brokers who used to do this work for $2,000, after being strict, in 2017 they started taking $15,000 from each defector. Most North Koreans whose annual income is equivalent to $2,000. This is why after 2012, that is, after Kim Jong-un came to power, the number of defectors decreased every year. And in 2019, only 1,000 defectors were able to escape from here. But then in 2020, something happened that made it almost impossible to escape from North Korea. At the end of 2019, when the first COVID-19 case was made in China, 2 months after that, North Korea was the first country in the world to completely close all its borders because they didn't want any COVID-19 case to ever reach North Korea. In North Korea, any means of entry and exit was completely banned. This was also necessary for North Korea because 42% of the population here still can't get proper food. That means they don't have the strength to tolerate the COVID-19 virus in their body. In addition, in August 2020, the North Korean military ordered the Northern Border Patrol to shoot to kill. That is, they were given full authority that if they see anyone going or coming to the China border, they should shoot him at the same time. This is why the number of people who have escaped from here is almost zero in the past 3 years. And North Korea has become like a very big jail where people can neither follow any religion nor be in any contact with the outside world. Google, Facebook, YouTube are far away. Here, the internet is also used only in government offices, and only those websites open on it that are made by the North Korean government. They have phones, but those phones are locally assembled in which such softwares have been installed that monitor people's phone activity. North Korea is the only country in the world where the outside world has no knowledge of what is happening. Executions are not executed here, but firing squads are sent, who shoot people in front of everyone and kill them. In North Korea, he is also executed who tried to talk on the phone with a relative sitting in South Korea. The world is watching all this drama, but no one can do anything. Because the Soviet Union had transferred nuclear technology to North Korea. This is why a superpower like America can do nothing but impose sanctions on North Korea. I hope you will like and share this video of World Info. Thank you very much for your lovely comments. See you in the next great video.